So in this video I'd like to talk about change, what causes us to change as human beings. So obviously this is a large topic, it's very complicated, there is a lot to it. In fact, many people have done whole PhDs on the topic of human change. So I want to just condense this down to under 5 minutes, which is going to be very difficult. And I want to focus on just two aspects of change, fundamentals that tend to be there when we create some kind of psychological or behavioural change. Now the thing is, a lot of people think that change isn't possible. I'm sure you've heard the old adage, a leopard can't change its spots. But that's absolutely not the case. If you think about yourself, you're a very different person today than what you were, say, 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, or potentially even 6 months ago, depending on your experiences. And I know that you'll be a different person in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time. Change does happen. We learn and develop all the time. But sometimes it can happen so subtly over a longer period of time that we just don't really notice it. So I want to explore, like I said, two fundamentals of change: intensity and repetition. So when I talk about intensity, I'm talking about emotional intensity. Whenever we have some kind of experience where we feel a very intense emotion, this is almost like a trigger. It's a way of telling our brain to mark out that particular experience and create some kind of learning from it. So a very basic example of this would be a phobia. Say for example you had a spider phobia. There's a very good chance that you've had some experience in your past that's negative to do with spiders. Maybe it was the school bully when you were at school who took a spider and put it down the back of your neck, and you were so emotionally traumatised that your brain decided to learn that all spiders were bad. Now of course if you live in Australia then that's a good phobia to have. If you live in the UK we don't actually have poisonous spiders, so it's a bit of an unnecessary irrational fear. But it's an example of where your brain learns something based on an intense emotional experience. So what we also have is repetition. Now this is more the drip feed effect. So rather than having one or two really intense emotional experiences, it's where we have less intense experiences but we have a higher number over a longer period of time. So repetition is basically where we look to create some kind of learning through repeating something over and over again, or having a similar experience, or practicing something. Say you're involved in sports, you will know that practice makes perfect. Well actually, practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect, but that's a different subject. Another example would be when you were at school and you were learning the times tables. You know when you were made to recite the times tables over and over and over and over again? What's 6 times 7? 42, of course. And you don't have to use your fingers, your toes and all various different types of digits in order to calculate that. You do it automatically. And that's because you've repeated it over and over again and the learning has become unconscious, it's become automatic. And this is how repetition tends to work. Now, this is not just to do with, say, learning a sport or reciting the times tables. This happens when it comes to our emotional learnings too. One of the good examples of this is positive visualization. If you were to imagine yourself being more confident and then repeat this a few times, maybe once a day or even 3 or 4 times a week, eventually your brain would get the message and you would start to embed this learning and it would become part of your reality. It would go into your subconscious. So that's repetition. Now, repetition and intensity work together. Generally, the more intense an experience, the less repetition you need in order to embed this particular change, this learning. If it's less intense, then you're going to need more learnings. It's more of the drip feed over a longer period of time. And this is why, as I mentioned at the start of the video, why people think that they don't change, because it's more of a drip feed thing. It just happens unconsciously over a longer period of time. So why is this useful to know? Well, when it comes to NLP and hypnosis, what we do is we take people through various different techniques and processes that provide them with intense positive emotional experiences that give them new choices. And because they experience these intensely, these new choices start to be embedded a lot quicker. So you can change the way that you think, the way that you feel, and the way that you behave a lot quicker than what you normally would. And you can actually take charge of that learning and change process. So if you found this interesting and you'd like some more content, then check out some of our free video courses on our online school. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video.